We should be unmuted.
And then the bishop said, "That's not my censure."
Wow.
What an
that was
awfully
good.
racist joke.
That was good.
Well,
that was good.
we have good times here.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first session of what I hope to be a long and fruitful journey into the final frontier. This is Star Trek Catalyst, GM'd by myself, Professor X, and of course, hosted by our ever faithful streamer, Der Wolf. Well, before we get down to business, this kind of game needs just a little bit of preamble because this is going to be a little bit different than your traditional Star Trek Adventures game. If some of you have seen the first two seasons, or the first season and what's coming out now, of Strange New Worlds, you know that that show takes a kind of a updated, kind of slick, modern approach to the original series era. This game, Star Trek Catalyst, is quite a lot like that. In fact, imagine if the original series was debuted and run in 2023 as opposed to the early 60s. So your expectations going in should be that of just an average viewer sitting down to watch Star Trek for the very first time. Things that you might have prior knowledge about, like, the Cardassians aren't a thing yet. They appear in, Deep Space Nine primarily. Well, our show is different. So coming in, viewers, and presumably our mothers are also watching at the time. Yeah, that's our primary audience. Make sure to take anything that you supposedly know about Star Trek with a grain of salt, because we're starting over from a kind of scratch. Before we get down to actually playing, let's go kind of around the table here, the virtual table. I want everybody to give me their name, who they're playing, and then just a little bit about what you're looking forward to in this game. So let's start with, I'm going to go on my screen to sort of left to right. So let's start with Wolf. Wolf, how you doing?
Hey everybody, Dare Wolf here. Happy to be here. Good to be a player, and always good to be a player in Professor X's games. They are generally fantastic. I will be playing the Chief of Security, one Commander Isha. He is a Cation and has seen some wars. He's got some scars, both physically and emotionally, that I'm going to try to do a good job of exploring here. And the thing I'm most looking forward to, candidly, having a chance to play with all these lovely players that I usually run games for, but to be a player alongside them. So very glad to be here.
Very good. Excellent lie. Wonderful. How about now, Mr. Zachary?
Hi, Zachary. I don't really have too much internet stuff that I go by. I'll be playing Lieutenant Danon Tall, a Trill joined, be the Chief Science Officer. And I'm looking forward to some cool science shenanigans, maybe some time travel, some I don't know, transporter accidents, maybe.
Oh, almost certainly. Yeah, one of you will be two-fixed.
Yes. It was an okay episode.
All right, Alex.
I'm Alex. I'm playing Captain Ian O'Neill, the ship's commanding officer. I guess really what I'm looking forward to most is just seeing what's going to be different this time around.
Absolutely nothing. It's going to be straight down the middle. You're Kirk now. Congratulations.
Well, why am I here then?
I don't know. Matthew, why don't you go?
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I play Lieutenant Itea Dahl, a female Cardassian engineer who is incredibly meticulous and organized. She, too, is carrying some scars, not necessarily from the war, but from the history of the Cardassian people's atrocities that have been committed against myriad races throughout the Beta Quadrant. So I look forward to exploring that. In terms of the campaign itself, I'm quite curious as to what our GM actually has prepared for us in this bizarre parallel or anti-parallel mirror universe, if you will, and what those changes will look like in practice. Practice, interesting.
In practice. You're doing a little Chekhov
okay,
thing.
Yeah, yes, there you go. Practice.
I am always looking forward to dashing people's expectations. Speaking of expectations, Symbol, why don't you go?
Well, hello, I'm Symbol24. I am the new addition to the crew. since very last minute change happened. And I'm the Chief Medical Officer, Mikhail Rodchenkov, and I'm hoping this will be a bunch of fun in this new parallel dimension of awesomeness. There's a bunch of good people right here. Except Wolf. Wolf, no.
Yeah.
No.
Look at this piece of shit. And then Brian, how about you?
I am Brian. I'm at Mind Over Brian on both Twitter and on Twitch, although on Twitch I spell it with a 0. And I am playing Vlenor, our Vulcan first officer. And honestly, the thing I'm looking forward to most is getting to play some Star Trek with all these fantastic people.
Wonderful. Okay. Lots of enthusiasm to quash very quickly. All right. So we begin Stardate 2250.120. We are right at the cusp of the Federation's first extended 5-year
And he froze.
This is a great start.
into the
He froze.
frontier of space.
You froze. You froze for
Yeah.
like 5 seconds.
No, I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. So it's Stardate 2250.120. The Federation is starting its first major 5-year mission into the frontiers of space, and accordingly, we need a nice kickoff from our captain. So, Captain, I am messaging you here on Discord. Your captain's log. Please feel free to take some creative liberty with that, but keep the sort of the details and the facts intact. So, where are you, Mr. Strata? There you are. Here it goes. Please take it away when you're ready.
Captain's log, stardate 2250.120. The ship has entered orbit around the planet Gemino 5, where members of a Federation colony, Walprusia, have reported being attacked by alien creatures with a strong resemblance to demons, I guess, or some other sort of mythological creature. The attacks have halted a mining operation in the nearby mountain areas. Several injuries have been reported. The colonists, adherents of a religious sect known as the Born to Stream, are rightfully shaken by these events. They've requested assistance from the Federation. So Starfleet Command has tasked us with discerning the nature of these demons and resolving the situation without bringing any additional harm to the colonists. We've already spoken to the High Prelate of the colony, one Matthias Newman, and have received transport coordinates to beam down.
Thank you, Captain. So we hear the telltale sounds of the transporter materializing. The lot of you, as is original series tradition, all of the important senior officers have been thrown onto a planet for no good reason. And as you materialize on this planet, what I want to do is just similar to what we did earlier, I want to go one by one, and each of you kind of describe a little bit about what your character looks like and how your character kind of carries themselves. Give us a little sense of your vibe. We'll start in this. We'll do the same order. We'll go with Wolf first.
So, Mr. Isha, he is obviously I mentioned Acacian. He has brownish kind of fur over his right eye and across down through his lip. He has a very deep scar where the fur has not grown back. And he carries himself with a sort of a narrow-eyed expression, scanning around, looking this way and that, just to make sure that they are safe as they land. Doesn't say much. He's kind of a quiet gentleman, but he has a kind of Worf-style bandolier on, like a Cation-style bandolier that he carries a couple of different accoutrements, maybe some military, I don't know, like little amulets and things like that, and then maybe a knife or two. So he looks ready for battle at all times.
Very good. Very good. What about Lieutenant Tall?
Yes. Lieutenant Tall is a male Trill. He has the Trill spots around his top of the face. Slicked back hair, big like brown bushy beard type thing. Looks not looks curious and ready to go. But he's wearing like a generic chief science officer uniform. He's got the lieutenant commander pips, and is probably just digging around in his tricorder right now.
All right, Captain.
So Captain O'Neill is a human male, stands roughly about 6'2", has sort of a rusty brown color to his hair that's starting to go gray at this point. Has a scar that kind of mars across his left eyebrow. He, depending on the situation, either seems relatively bored, like he doesn't really want to be there, but when he needs to, he's completely on point, completely professional.
So he is the absent father.
We'll go with that.
What about Lieutenant Dow?
Lieutenant Dahl is a relatively diminutive Cardassian, standing roughly 5'4". She has incredibly soft features, almost cherubic, that gives her an air almost like Ezri Dax of being far too young to be in Starfleet, let alone to be a lieutenant. She is notable because the traditional Cardassian ridge-like structures that sort of frame the face are also particularly soft, probably indicative of some sort of mixed heritage. And as she materializes, she immediately goes to her tricorder to begin sort of cataloging the flora and fauna and cross-referencing that with the various databases that they have on hand.
Very good. Always professional. What about Commander Rodchenko, or Dr. Rodchenko, I should say?
So yes, Dr. Rodchenko is a human male, of course, about 5'10". He's very big, burly, and has very well-worn soft features. His hair, it looks like he just jumped out of bed, and in stark contrast, his beard is well kept and well maintained. And he is very much the example of a man who is at ease in every situation. Just nothing seems to faze him as he looks around the area and surveys.
Very
Taking it
good.
all in.
Finally, Commander Vlanor.
Commander Vlanor is a slender 6-foot Vulcan. He, in deference to the company he keeps, he's grown his hair slightly longer than a Vulcan normally would, and so because of that, it's a little bit tousled. Because he's just not sure how to keep it. It tends to flop around, much to his annoyance, which is why his facial hair is so also very well kept, very prim and proper. And he has the faint air of disapproval whenever anyone talks to him.
So standard issue Vulcan expression.
Exactly.
Yes, of course. Thank you, gentlemen. So you all arrive, as the captain mentioned in the log, on Gemino 5, and you are just outside of a Federation colony called Walpurga. Walpurga looks actually very inviting in a sort of a Pacific Northwest kind of way. It's clearly springtime, although you can see there's a sizable amount of snow that is thawing. So it's just entered springtime. The weather's cool. There's a nice breeze present. Skies are clear of clouds. And you can see that surrounding this very small colony is a lush forest. As I said, there's a significant layer of snow still present. Just from the computer's database that there was a recently ended ice age on this planet, which explains why there's still quite a lot of snow cover. And the colony itself is pretty small. In fact, you only see 2 gray metallic hangar-like buildings with some windows and a dirt path in the snow leading past those buildings through the woods and presumably towards the mining operation for this colony. You see a sign nearby that reads, "All mining equipment use this road." There's another thing of note. You see that there is a senior gentleman, probably in his early 70s, wearing a sort of a pale cornflower blue, like monk's habit. He is approaching you slowly with his hands and arms out in warm greeting. And he approaches your party and says, "Thank you, gentlefolk, for transporting down. This is so much better to greet you in person. We are honored at your presence, and we hope you will find some peace here in our haven.
I think with him approaching, Captain O'Neill will step forward, introduce himself. I'm Captain O'Neill. It's nice to be here and see you face to face. Definitely more personable than talking over communications.
Yes, of course, that is an aspect of our new life that I still find somewhat hard to be enthusiastic about. Well met, Captain. I appreciate your time and your efforts.
It's what we're here for. Now, if you could maybe fill us in on what's been happening.
Yes, well, as you may know already, the area surrounding Mount Idle, and he sort of gestures towards the pretty sizable looking kind of Mount Rainier style mountain in the distance past the forested area. That area is exceptionally stable, tectonically speaking, and easy for our machinery to work in, praise God. We've mined for hafnium and a variety of useful trace elements, but the deeper we've dug, the more anomalous those materials, those minerals seem to be. You see, these anomalies inspired one of our brothers, Brother Ayotunde, to conduct some studies inside the mine. Yesterday, he reported that he discovered a strange door. Well, a gate to hell, surely, if you'll pardon my religious expression. For afterwards, these demons we told the Federation about, these creatures, caused a cave-in. Ayotunde has been trapped inside since yesterday, and the demons prevent us from rescuing him. We can only hope he is still alive.
Captain, if I may, perhaps we could contact the ship and see if our sensors can find this monk.
Of course, we can attempt that.
If you'll pardon me. Lenore to Catalyst.
Catalyst receiving.
Lieutenant, try the sensors centered on the mountain range to our what direction was it again?
Pardon?
What direction?
Oh,
Are the mountains from us?
The mountain is roughly sort of like northwest of you.
To the northwest, Lieutenant. We are searching for one singular life form. Perhaps human, he says with an inquisitive look toward the monk.
Yes, Brother Ayotunde is one of our human brothers.
Should you find additional life signs, please filter for human.
Will do, Commander. And the comm channel cuts off, and you wait a couple of seconds. Do you continue conversing with the High Prelate here, or do you wait for the sensor results?
I think the captain would have a couple more questions.
Mhm.
Have these creatures made any moves or appearances to leave the vicinity of the mine?
No, thankfully. We count our blessings that they seem to be only interested in guarding the mountain and preventing us from investigating, from mining, from doing much of anything there at the mountain.
And is there anybody else of your colony that's unaccounted for?
No, merely Brother Ayotunde. However, there was a party late yesterday evening who attempted to recover Brother Ayotunde. Unfortunately, the demons ambushed them and caused some significant injuries. They are recovering, and he gestures in the direction of one of the hangars. In the housing unit, you may be able to inquire with them as to the specifics.
I think with that, the captain's going to turn towards our doctor. Do you think you could go and see what their injuries consist of?
With pleasure, Captain. And he'll start walking in the general direction the brother was talking about.
Yeah, you're heading towards one of those gray kind of hangar housing units. You, Commander of Lenore, you get a chirp from your comm badge. Catalyst to Commander of Lenore.
Lenore here.
Our sensor readings have indicated that we have a single life sign, incredibly faint, I might add, at near the base of Mount Idle. There's been some interference. There could be some biomatter in the way, preventing a clear reception. But for now, the life sign appears to be consistent.
Is engineering able to establish a transporter lock?
Negative, Commander. There's some kind of interference going on.
And is there any other insights you can offer based on the scans?
Well, sir, there appears to be that's part of the problem. The interference that we're experiencing with the transporters. There's some kind of almost like waves of energy that are coming off of the mountain itself. It's preventing us from getting a transporter lock, and our analysis has yet to indicate exactly what kind of energy it is. It's not electromagnetic, it's not tetrametric, it's not tachyon pulses. Frankly, we're stumped up here, sir.
Well, Lieutenant, I expect you'll refer those results to science, and once the science department has some sort of answer, you are welcome to contact me. Until then, keep this channel clear.
Of course, Commander.
Lenore out.
All right, so what about the rest of you? We've got Dr. Rodchenko heading towards the housing unit. We've got Commander of Lenore, who's just gotten some readings. What about our other party members? Like, what are the? Is there anything specific you guys are doing before you, say, accompany the High Prelate back to the housing unit?
Commander Isha is nervous. Like, he's got kind of like a nervous expression on his face. Maybe not nervous, but pensive. And he's just scanning around, and he's doing that thing that cats do when they go up and they sniff something sort of nervously. His whiskers are twitching a little bit, and he's going to saddle up to who would be standing right next to him at this moment, if anyone. I don't know if anyone's close by. It would be, let's see who that is. I don't know who is who right now. Forgive me.
So the doctor's walked off, so probably the captain.
I would saddle up to the captain, and he would saddle up to the captain. Captain, something smells off. I know it always does, but this time, I think it is different.
Do you have any insight of what you think that might be?
Just a feeling, Captain. I have come to trust that gut feeling. Will keep my eyes, ears, and whiskers to the ground.
Please do.
Before Mikhail walked off, I think me and Ida were looking around in with our tricorders trying to see if there was anything.
Yeah, do you want to scan for something specific?
Yeah, so I specifically was gonna scan for anything that might cause hallucinations, like neurogenic fields, things like that. Anything that cause any issues biologically with people, to see if there's anything there that would mess with people.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, first roll, and let's get a reason and a science task. Let's call this difficulty 1. You've got to adjust the tricorder to filter out some of the sort of extraneous results.
Okay. I have biology, xenobiology, physics, and quantum physics. Maybe anything there would be focused.
I think physics would apply here for a focus. You're actually dealing with fields and such.
All right. I'll go ahead and roll.
Here we go. Fingers crossed.
Oof.
Nicely setting the tone for this game. Starting with a complication.
Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee.
Now, the good news is you got a success, so you have successfully scanned. Here's the thing. So Lieutenant Commander, you open up your tricorder and you begin scanning the surrounding area. You're getting the sort of nominal levels you expect of electromagnetism and sort of like very, very mild radiation readings. This is consistent with a kind of the Class M planet that Gemini 5 is. It's very Earth-like. However, as you are sort of adjusting your settings to get something maybe affecting the psyche or the brain, you begin to feel that your tricorder is beginning to heat up, right? The actual, like, the outer coating, the buttons themselves are getting hotter and hotter. And then sure enough that there is a noise as your tricorder fizzles out. There's a small spray of spark, and you realize that your tricorder is basically shorted out.
All right. Do I get anything before it shorts out?
You got a sense of, again, in the direction of the mountain, that there was this kind of energy field that was consistent with what the engineer was talking about on comms, that it's sort of radiating out, almost like the sea sort of washing over the shore and cresting back. And you got a little bit of the sense of that, but no details as to any more of the nature of that event.
Okay. Just confirming what they saw. All right.
Yes.
And then after that, I'd probably just join Mikhail and wherever the sick people are.
So I think actually, as Itea sees that the tricorder shorts out as she is scanning the region alongside of him, she sort of arches a brow, and as he's, I presume, sort of like just flinching back with the tricorder sparking slightly,
Chucks it into the forest, starts a forest fire.
she walks up to him and extends a hand. Terribly sorry about that, Commander. May I?
And I hand over the tricorder.
Thank you kindly. Clearly, there's been some sort of issue with the maintenance of our tricorders, and she flips open a panel along its side, takes a look. Registry 667251. That would have been, she thinks for a minute, I think Ensign Mulcahy was responsible for the maintenance on that batch. You'll be sure to, well, you'll be receiving a report about the disciplinary action I'll be taking there, rest assured. And I'll work on the repairs of that tricorder personally.
Actually, Lieutenant Dow, if you want to try to do a sort of a field repair of the tricorder to get it back into working order, you're more than welcome to.
I think that she would try, yes.
Okay, then give me a reason and engineering task. We'll call this difficulty 1 because you've got your sort of engineering kit with you.
And I don't think there's any.
Complication. Complication. That.
2 successes.
Very nice. Okay, that means 1 point of momentum goes into the pool. All right, very good. So sure enough, you remove the back panel, you begin sort of tinkering with the inner circuitry and the wires, and despite some sort of light bubbling and sort of burn marks along the side of the tricorder, it seems to be in working order so far.
Right.
Can I ascertain what it was that caused that issue? Was it improper maintenance, or was there something about the material that was being scanned that caused it?
I tell you what, if you spend a momentum to obtain some more information, then yeah, I can tell you.
I will gladly do that.
All right, we'll go ahead and spend that momentum that we got. It was an overload of the sensors of the tricorder because it wasn't calibrated to pick up what you quickly realize is psionic energy.
See. So as she's fiddling with those diodes, she again arches that brow in an almost kind of like Vulcan fashion, and then turns back to Commander Tall. Well, I suppose that disciplinary action will be postponed until I find something else that he's bungled. Problematic ensign. I think that you'll find I've properly calibrated your tricorder to detect the psionic energy field that's responsible for the damage.
Well, I appreciate it. Problematic instance aside, you said there was something psionic going on.
Well, most tricorders aren't calibrated unless they're medical tricorders to detect anything regarding the ESP quotient of biological organisms, and it seems as if something at least somewhat similar to that is emanating from somewhere. I didn't localize it. That seems to be your responsibility, Commander.
Well, I will definitely get on it. And this might be interesting. So I would like to use my joined ability to gain a trait.
Okay.
Wait, a trait with oh no. I had a trait with the name of the symbiote. What
You
can
gain
I
a
do?
focus.
I get a focus. That's right. Sorry, this is a lot of text, and ADHD is not good for that. I'll get a focus in uh whatever
Psionic energy.
yeah, whatever would be applicable there. Let me see.
Exotic energy types.
Yeah,
Exotic.
which symbiote would be good for that?
Okay, you've got a focus in place for exotic energies. You're calling upon the previous experiences of your symbiont.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I'm sorry.
It's Greg, right?
No, Sienna Tall. She was a cargo trader, but one day for 3 weeks, she got trapped in a prison for being associated with some telepaths. You got to
I
know
see.
them afterwards. Yeah. So yeah, I use that, and that's gonna be fun.
You feel Sienna Tall's the sum kind of total of her experience begin to sort of leak into your mind and begin to flood your synapses with warm memories and experiences, and then finally hard like data and observation. And suddenly you realize, yes, psionic energy, and you feel that you could do a whole university lecture on the subject.
Nice. That's once per mission, though. That's pretty cool.
So that I think covers just about everybody. So do you all follow the High Prelate back to the housing unit?
That's where the people are, right? The
Yes.
sick ones? Okay.
And that's where we want to be, where the people are.
Yes.
You want to be where the people are. Content strike in the sun.
I like that. Good.
So,
Nice.
yeah, you head towards the housing unit. Dr. Rodchenko, you are sort of like leading the charge here. And inside, among some makeshift accommodations, some half open or stacked sort of plastisteel kind of storage containers. The place has a very, yes, that's a Star Wars thing, I know, has a very kind of like very makeshift, very sort of temporary sort of quality to it. You find a couple of people milling about. On a cot, off to the side, there is another one of those sort of monks, right? The same sort of cornflower blue habit. But this monk, a human male, has their head and their right arm pretty thoroughly bandaged. They're also clearly sweating and delirious. They are sort of muttering to themselves and sort of tossing and turning on the cot. There's another brother nearby, a Tellarite, actually, who is sort of ministering to them, applying like a damp cloth to their brow to try to keep them steady, trying to make sure that in their thrashing they don't end up hurting their arm again. There is a female member of the sect who is sort of observing from the sidelines, and there are a couple more of these religious sect members just sort of like uncomfortably waiting things out. They seem to be sort of uncomfortable, and there's a sense of not futility exactly, but there's a little bit of impotence in the air as they feel like they're just biding time until something, hopefully you guys, take care of this whole demon problem. You see some of them playing cards off to the side. Some of them are just sort of chatting nervously. The High Prelate directs the lot of you towards the bandaged, sweating monk and says, yes, Brother Watt was part of the rescue attempt for Brother Ayotunde. Unfortunately, his injuries have resulted in this very poor state. Doctor, was it? Will you look upon our brother here, see if there's anything you can do to heal him?
But of course, it is my pleasure. And he goes over and bends next to the brother Tellarite.
Okay, so what I want you to give me is a reason and a medicine task. Okay,
For sure.
we're going to make this difficulty 0 because you're just doing a regular scan. You're looking for just anything in particular.
So it's perform task, right? That's the button.
That's perform task. Yep, that's the button.
While that's happening, just very quickly, Dahl will inform our first officer about the finding of the psionic energy field that overloaded the tricorder.
All right.
Very good.
So would emergency medicine as a focus work here?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, you're getting a sense of this gentleman's injuries.
And let's use a momentum to increase that dice pool.
Why not? You got 3, so now there's 2.
And
The tricorder may. Oh, hey, there we go.
Oh,
That was close.
And as it was difficulty 0, that's 3 momentum into the pool. We're now at 5. Very good.
Nice.
So, Doctor, you get a pretty thorough reading from your tricorder. It's clear to you that there are some severe injuries, both in terms of blunt force trauma and, strangely enough, some kind of like particle burns to the head and the right arm, which is consistent with the bandaging, right? But something further is picked up by your medical tricorder, something that makes your heart drop a little bit. You find yourself very sad and uncomfortable as you realize this monk has developed Nugarian infection. Now, you know that Nugarian infection is admittedly a pretty rare illness, but it has affected a couple of Federation worlds before. You know that the symptoms of Nugarian infection are pretty consistent with what you're seeing as this gentleman writhes around and sweats. You're getting high fever, muscle weakness, chronic fatigue, and nausea. And you know, and here's where your heart sinks, that this is fatal if not treated within 24 hours.
all right. I administer can't find the word.
Sedative.
A sedative. Thank you. Just to make sure that he falls asleep. I get up, Captain. Brother, if you would have a moment, please.
Of course.
The brother Watt has developed considerable damage to his forearm. His head has, through a form of charge particle burst. Those are recoverable, of course, and easily treatable. His other symptoms, his fever, his agitation, they are not from the attack, or probably are. He has developed, what's the name again? Sorry.
No problem. It's Nugarian infection.
He has developed Nugarian infection. When, looking at the brother, when did the symptoms start?
So did you, I didn't quite catch that. Did you bring the High Prelate along with you to talk as well?
Yes.
I see. Okay. So High Prelate Nauman says, well, not long after we recovered him, his team made it partially back to the colony, and then we sort of were able to ferry him back to the housing unit where he was treated. That was some time ago. You said this infection.
Yes, Nugarian infection is highly deadly.
How long does the brother have?
How many hours since you recovered your brother?
Let us see. Something. I would venture 18. I suppose, if my sense of the time is holding firm.
Then I believe your brother only has 6 hours left in his mortal shell.
You
I
see that the
need
high
to-
prelate kind of like blanches at that and looks down. Oh dear.
I am very sorry to announce this to you. That is why I asked for Captain. I will need to go back to the ship to see if I can formulate an antidote. This infection is not common and is not kept on the ready.
Behind you, Doctor, you actually sense that there's somebody, you get that sort of vibe that somebody's hovering nearby. And sure enough, the female monk is sort of like looking over your shoulder towards the sort of the group of you and says, actually, I might be able to help with that. Excuse me for interrupting, high prelate, Doctor, Captain. Yes. Well, I'm Sister Robotham. I'm the Ignatiate here. Sister, please tell these fine people what they do not know our terms. You see, an Ignatiate, gentlefolk, is our scholar, our expert in matters scientific and medical. You see. Yes. Thank you, High Prelate. I think we can treat this with some of the local flora, specifically Loraxian berries. Are you familiar with these things? They grow on bushes on some Class M planets, and I've seen in my hikes these grow near the colony.
These berries, do they have scent about them? Some sort of pungent smell?
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely. Very pungent. There's a kind of there's an acrid, almost a slightly spoiled citrus kind of quality to them. You should be able to get them from far away.
His nose would twitch a little bit, his whiskers the same, and he would look to the captain and just give him a knowing like nod, like this is what it was. There's something afoot here.
I'm gonna look over towards the security, and then look back towards Dr. Rochenko. I'm gonna defer to your expertise here on what path you think should be pursued.
I would not. And you see his face just like really thinks like this is deep thought for him. not in a bad sense, but like he's really weighing options. He's like,
you go into your mind palace.
I would not bet on my ability to make the antidote on the ship in the time required. These berries I have heard of do have the proper compound needed to accelerate the antidote.
Yes, and we do have a synthesizer, a matter synthesizer on site. It's basically a museum piece at this point, but it could synthesize the drug necessary to heal him. I think we've never attempted it before, obviously.
Doctor, if time
and he
is
just fishes out of his back, his pack, a specimen container and hands it to the Cation.
Takes it.
Time is of the essence.
Yes, should move quickly to save a life.
And he opens up his tricorder, fishes out a picture of what the berries actually look like. This is the visual representation of the berries. Once you have confirmed it, please bring at least 500 milligrams of the berries. We need to synthesize enough of the antidote to also inoculate the rest of the community.
Understood.
Yeah, Isha, you get a small sort of image of some. They look a little bit like sort of maraschino cherries, but they've got a kind of a reddish yellow sort of tint to them.
If I can, I'm playing it to where like maybe like obviously that's what he was picking up. So could he like follow like a scent trail or something to like
absolutely
okay.
Yeah, okay,
that's cool.
Well,
all right.
Actually, give me would you want to start that, because that would take a task.
If that's
okay,
if that's cool, yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So give me, I'm going to say that is a, let's see, let's call that a control.
Okay, I click what I do it click control.
Yeah, make sure the check is next to control.
Okay, I've got it.
And then let's do. I would say that this falls under security as
So
it's like
control command
tracking.
perform task.
Correct. That's right.
Boom, done. And can I use the momentum? We have.
Yeah, you can buy you can buy another dice with some momentum.
Boom, done.
Done.
Okay, and I have a focus of. Could I say field medicine?
Yeah, I think that would count here. Sure. Absolutely. Let's see what happens. Incredible. Very good.
Patience knows.
Follow your nose wherever it goes. All right. So
Damn.
we spent just one momentum, but we're getting back. I would say that was a difficulty 2. So we're getting 2 momentum back. So now you're at your cap. You're at 6. Very good. So immediately, Isha, you get that acrid sort of like almost rotten citrus kind of smell. And you realize, okay, if I follow that straight out of the housing unit and up that dirt road towards the mining colony, I'm going to find those berries. Sure enough.
He would like crinkle his nose up, look a little agitated. I'll be back shortly. And he would depart to go and gather the berries.
As you're turning to leave, Isha, you feel a hand on your arm there, and you realize that the sister of Botham has gotten you and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to."
Instinctually, his other hand like reaches up and grabs her wrist almost a little too hard.
Right.
And he immediately lets go.
I'm so sorry. I felt like I needed to. If you're heading to find those berries, that's in the that's the last place we saw the demons. They're going to be nearby. They're going to prevent you from even approaching the bushes, much less taking any of the material from sight. Just I know you're probably you've got the stuff and the phaser and all that.
Just low growl.
Just be careful. That's all.
Danon would speak up and say, "I do have an idea of how we could. I might be able to do something about that." And she'll look over. Will look over to. I guess what did the captain of the CO be proper to look over for authorization for this?
I mean, the captain's here.
Yeah. All right. I'll look over to the captain and nod and ask for permission to go with this.
Don't mention what it is yet. Just say,
yeah.
Just say.
I know. Yeah, that's proper. Then I will.
Lenore crosses his arms and just observes this interaction.
The captain's gonna ask, "What is it you want to attempt?"
I'm not exactly sure if there are actual demons here, because Mikhail looked at the bodies. He said there were phaser burns on them.
Some kind of particle energy burns. That could be phaser fire. That could be disruptor fire. That could be, a kind of energy weapon that you're not familiar with. Clearly, some kind of energy disrupted the cellular structure, caused some burns and some dermal splitting and all this such.
Okay.
So it's consistent with an energy weapon.
Right.
Would it also be consistent with a mining laser?
That is an excellent question. Commander, Dr. Rachenko, would you like to spend a momentum to get some more information on that?
Oh, but yes.
Okay. We'll spend that momentum. We are back at 5. It is not consistent with laser weaponry. At least I should say it could be laser weaponry, but it could be a whole host of other things too. There's nothing specifically targeting it towards, this is definitely from a laser.
Right. So it's not necessarily the mining laser, but it's
It's
also
not laser.
Not the line. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to my original thought. He thinks this is either like some sort of like psionic ghost type thing, or like either that or someone is putting out this energy to keep people away so they can mine or something like that. He wants to rule out the science ghosts basically. He wants to requisition an energy dampener and recalibrate it to basically nullify this energy. in an area, of course. That
Sure.
sorry, I forgot your character's name there. Arthan Isha could take with them.
So that as he approaches to find the berries, he could use that energy dam. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to say that that's going to take a kind of a requisition, right? As you say, you're going to have to get that beam down from the catalyst. Let's call that 2 momentum, because that's a kind of a specialized piece of equipment.
Captain, if I may,
Commander.
if the chief science officer suspects psionic energy, perhaps sending Vacation and myself would be the most prudent course of action, as we are both resistant to psionic energy sources.
Yeah.
I can agree to that, though I would like you to take this energy dampener idea along with you as well.
Captain, if I may offer a more private observation.
Kind of look around, move towards a
That's
less
crazy.
crowded corner.
I don't know if you have observed our chief science officer's usage of technology, but I would be more comfortable if our chief engineer were to make the adjustments. He has somehow already managed to burn the outside of his tricorder, and I am suspicious of his technological credentials.
Commander Isha would let out a snort that's kind of a laugh, but not really.
No. This is he's being circumspect, so he's only saying this to the captain.
Yeah.
Well, Kation's got pretty
I
decent
got
hearing
good
too.
hearing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like
He's
just
got
to
kitty cat
himself.
hearing.
It's just kind of
Yeah,
sounds,
yeah.
you know, like a cat when like they like
Mhm.
I don't know, smell something that they don't like. They go
Yeah.
like a grunt, yeah, like that.
I think the captain's gonna, nod his head a little bit in thought about that. We'll go with Lieutenant Commander Tal's idea on the modification. We'll have him work along with Lieutenant Dahl. Make sure both of their minds are set on this modification.
I gotta say, Tall and Doll, not gonna get confusing at all.
No, that's perfectly
Perfectly fine.
I
cromulent.
liked your
Yeah.
rime there, Zachary. That was good.
That was good.
All not at all. That's good. That's fine.
You're really on the ball, if you will.
Oh, damn it, Matthew. Get
I
out of
know,
here. Go
get
back to
outta-
Canada.
get
Go
outta
back
here.
to Canada.
I was gonna make a similar joke, but I decided to
I was
Tall
just-
Catalyst, get him out of here.
I'll just be the fly on the wall and
Yeah. These people.
The
You
unmitigated gall.
Oh,
people. Unmitigated.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
swear to Saint Pearl.
All right.
all right, Captain, you
Lieutenant
make the
Command.
call.
Yeah.
They have
So
the-
Lieutenant Commander, you get in contact with the catalyst, right? You show up your communicator, and sure enough, the catalyst responds specifically to introduce some of our crew on the catalyst, other crew, the guest stars, I guess, the B tier characters. You get, let's see here. You get Lieutenant Sadar, the Kelpian engineering officer on the ship, responds. This is Catalyst for receiving.
Yes. What was his name again? I'm sorry. I completely.
Sadar, Sadar.
Sadar, I'd like to requisition a energy dampener to my location, please.
May I inquire, Lieutenant Commander, what it's for?
We're trying to. I think there was an Earth movie about this. Trying to trap them ghosts. I think the wording is no. I don't know. It's fine.
Lieutenant
It's an
Commander,
okay gun
this
minute.
is
No,
the-
Commander Isha would clear his throat. Who you going to call? I believe was the name of the film.
Was it? It doesn't matter.
This is the 5th time, Lieutenant Commander, that you've referenced one of your Earth films. You understand that I'm not familiar with that culture, and
neither am
frankly,
I.
those are centuries old at this point,
Well, neither am I. I'm Trill. I don't know what these are.
which makes your constant referencing of them all the more perplexing. Don't
So
you
can
have
I-
a Trill film you can talk about?
They're all very boring, though.
I think as this interaction's going on, the captain's gonna kind of walk over. Lieutenant Sadar, just please send it down.
you almost hear him straightening up, right, on the call, and he says, "Yes, of course, Captain, right away."
Thank you.
And sure enough, a couple of seconds later, materializing just outside the two colony buildings is a energy dampening device.
It's the size of a small minecart, and all we.
So you all climb in. You and Donkey Kong and Diddy 2, and you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'll go ahead and make the modifications there.
So, because energy dampeners, at least, correct me if I'm wrong here, fellow nerds, but they're not necessarily set up to dampen psionic energy, because that's a fairly rare kind of energy. Tall, I'm going to need you to do a task for this adjustment here. So let's call it a reason and an engineering. Okay. And I'm going to make this, let's call it difficulty 3.
Okay. All right.
Just a point of order, O'Neill would have tasked Lieutenant Dahl to assist with this.
Okay,
Definitely.
great. Then Dahl, you know what to do. Just roll a single d20 in your combination of attribute and discipline, and we'll add that to Tall's roll.
Would regimented mind apply in this case? I spent momentum earlier on to obtain information, and regimented mind reduces the difficulty of the next task by 1, so long as that task is in some way related to the information gained.
It absolutely is related, so yes, that would apply here.
Okay.
So instead, we've got difficulty 2.
Before you do that, could we split up the task? Like, Dahl handles the engineering part, and I get all the specifications and requirements for dampening psionic energy to make it more of a science task for me. And then
Okay. So yeah, we'll get 2 tasks. We'll get one from Tall and one from Dahl. Tall and Dahl together again. Peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
So you'll do the science task, so reason science, and then we've got reason science. Dahl's got reason engineering. However, because we're splitting this up into 2 different tasks, I'm going to expand the complication range by 1.
Okay.
So now complications are happening on 19s and 20s.
All right.
I think he was just saying he does the main task with science, and I assist with engineering.
I see. Okay. Well, in that case, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
And it was control science or control engineering?
Control engineering. Yes, for you. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. 1 success added to Tall's roll here.
All right. So it's still difficulty, looking for 3 successes. I'll perform task. I have
Well,
a
it was
focus.
difficulty 3. Now, does that reduction of difficulty apply just to Dow's roll, or does it extend to the whole sort of operation?
So I think it's really intended to be only when I perform the task rather than I assist.
Okay. Then yes, it is 3 difficulty for you, Tall. Let's do, in this case, I think it's control and science.
Okay.
And you'd probably want to buy another die.
Yeah, I'll definitely buy another die. I'm using caution science here, so I'm gonna go with the 3. Let's re-roll. Do we want to buy another one, or is that too much?
I think
that
3
would
with
take the rest of the
reroll would be-
momentum.
Okay, yeah, I'll take all 3, and then I'll go to 4 dice in this pool, because if we go good, we go good, all right.
We start with 2, and you've bought an extra one, so you should have just 3.
Yeah.
Oh, so I don't get the 4th one?
You'd
Or
have
no?
to spend the rest of the momentum in the pool.
Yeah, okay. So no.
Yes. Let's just go. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the joke. Let's go with 3. Yeah, 3 dice.
All right. Get 3 roll 1. Oh,
Yeah.
Very nice.
3
Very
successes.
nice. Excellent. All
Uh,
combined, that's 4 successes. You
yeah.
only needed 3, so that's an extra momentum. Pop back in the pool.
Nice.
Okay. So, Tall, Dahl, you guys working together. You pop open some of the side panels of this energy dampener. You're reconfiguring circuitry. You are adjusting the algorithms that control the energy dampening field. And sure enough, you've got this baby very quickly tuned to dampen psionic energy.
Nice. assume we did like an area test, like it's actually like changing this waves of energy that's coming out.
Using your tricorder, which you've already sort of adjusted to pick up on this, yeah, you see that with that same sort of slow pulsing wave that you were getting before off of the mountain, it's not there once you turn the dampener on.
So yeah, if CO and I should take this, it should be good to go.
Very good. Okay, so we have got Isha and we've got Valanor, the two sort of resistant to psionic effects. They're going to take the energy dampener and head up the dirt path towards the mining site and the mountain proper, because that's where the berries are supposed to be. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's very good. What about the rest of you? What are you attending to while they head up?
I just posted the message, but basically, Rodchenko sets up the tricorder to be just like a press one button to scan, and he asks to scan for the Nigerian infection, and asks the sister if she's ever used a tricorder before, and if she has, he asks her to scan every member of her community that she can for at least 3 seconds, and then just bring back the tricorder after, so that while she's doing that, he can tend to the poor hurt.
Of course. Thankfully, that sedative you gave him has calmed him down a little bit. There's still the occasional murmur and sort of twitch. It's clear that he's still in some pain, but the sedative that you provided is actually working a wonder. All right. In that case, let's go with Isha and Valanor. Sorry, Dal, go ahead.
There is just one thing I'd like to do. Can I check the mining records that they have on hand, cross-referencing it against what I can detect with the dampening effect in place of the minerals and materials that are actually inside the mountain? Are there any discrepancies between the two, or something that stands out as being an aberration based on their previously reported findings?
Certainly, yeah. You can call up to the catalyst and have them sort of like essentially beam that information to your tricorder, right? Because you've got records provided by the colony and so on, some basic information. Sure enough, as you're sort of poring over the mining records, apart from the like large amounts of hafnium and other trace elements that were, the reason the mine was set up in the first place, you're also getting those sort of anomalous materials, right? You're getting sort of small but statistically significant sample sizes of minerals that should not be present on this planet. A Class M planet like this shouldn't have these particular minerals. Now, there is no connection, at least to your knowledge immediately, with those minerals which are present on other planets, out in this quadrant and in just space in general. There's no connection from those minerals to psionic effects, as far as you can tell. But it is unusual.
Would it be possible for me to determine the location of those minerals? Are they concentrated in a particular place, or are they dispersed?
You know that the samples were taken from the heart of the mining operation, which is around and inside Mount Idle, right? The sort of large mountain feature near the colony. So if you wanted to get like a more representative sample or to get more detailed scans, you'd have to head to the mine.
All right, thank you.
I think for the captain, he's going to want to try and see if he can get a map of the area around the mountain from the colonists, and compare that against a topographical scan from the catalyst to see if there's any differences from what they're showing to what the ship shows.
Ah, very good. Okay. Sister Robotham is able to provide you with a sort of rudimentary pad, essentially, with a layout of the colony and the surrounding area. And yeah, if you want to call up to the catalyst and get them to do a topographical scan, we'll have the catalyst do that roll then. Okay.
Good rolls.
let's do sensors, and we will do science. We'll perform our task here. Let's see. Advanced sensor suites. Here. We're going to have the catalyst assist you, Captain. So what I want you to do, Captain, I want you to give me a, let's see, this would be probably reason and science, I'd imagine.
Would I be able to
Can
assist
I
as well?
can I argue for presence of command since I'm not the one taking the scans? I'm giving the catalyst the order to do it.
Fair enough. Yes. Now I rope you into this, right? Because the ship's got advanced sensor suites, right? So if they're assisting you, technically, the difficulty will drop down. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see what the
And then-
catalyst rolls. Very good. So we got one success already.
Doesn't the ship always have a focus? So would that be 2?
Ah, that is correct. That is 2 successes. Yes, very good.
And I'll go ahead and use 1 momentum.
Okay, to buy that extra dice. Very good.
Yep.
All right,
And-
presence and command.
With my focus of Starfleet protocol, since again I'm ordering a Starfleet vessel.
I'll allow it this time.
Mhm.
You
Set
watch-
his eye on you.
But you watch your ass. Incredible. Very nice. So,
This guy.
7 successes total. Now, the difficulty there was only 2. So, congratulations. You're able to, okay. So, you've got 5 momentum floating. You can bank some of it, but obviously that's going to take you up to the cap. Is there something you want to do with that extra momentum? You can obtain more information, of course. You can create an advantage if you spend 2.
I want to see about creating an advantage. Try and see if, maybe in this topographical scan, knowing about the psionic energy, the ship is able to maybe narrow the sensor bands that they're using and maybe detect where this energy is emanating from.
Okay. Yeah, I tell you what, you will spend the 1 momentum floating and then 1 from the pool here, and that gets us that advantage. So advantage, psionic topography. That's a fun thing to say. All right. So sure enough, the catalyst calls back to you, sends you the requisite sort of like topographical scans and such. Sure enough, apart from the psionic thing, what exactly were you looking for?
I want to see if our scans match up to what the
Oh yes, the
colony is
colony
showing.
map. Yes, very good. So you are getting a significant amount of like extra substructure, tunnels and rooms and spaces, I should say, that are made out of like some kind of constructed material that go deep, like below a stage below the actual mining area. So that in itself is unusual because that doesn't match up with the colony's, sort of layout of their own mining operation. Also, you're getting a sense that the psionic energy is radiating from a single space underneath the mine, right? So clearly there's some kind of tunnels or some kind of hidden sort of spaces or rooms beneath the mine itself that the colonists have no idea are even there.
I think with that information, any of the officers that are still here, I would be sharing that with.
It's strange. Do we have any records of prior inhabitants, perhaps?
None of the records that I read mention anything about a previous civilization on this planet.
Atia Doll, you are pretty you're pretty much of a stickler. Do you have any? Did you look up any past records of Walpurgia?
Nothing that discussed previously existing psionic aliens of some sort. Although, if we've localized this problem, Captain, then certainly it should be within our power to remove it, to preserve both the colony and the mining operation.
By blowing up the mountain. Yes, very good. Thank you. Excellent choice.
Starfleet, fuck yeah!
It certainly seems reasonable that we could make the attempt, though to do that, we're going to have to venture into the mountain ourselves. The depth that this emanation is coming from, if we attempted to do anything from the catalyst, the ecological resulting fallout would be catastrophic for the colony.
She sort of bites her tongue. She's about to say something off the cuff, but then restrains herself and then simply says, Captain, wouldn't we have to go into the mountain regardless in order to rescue the missing religious adherent?
We cannot leave this poor man.
Perhaps we could take the injured back to the catalyst, set them up in sick bay, and perhaps beam down into this cavernous expanse under the mine. With our success with the dampener, I'm sure I could try and recalibrate the sensors and we could cut through whatever energy's there.
Lieutenant Dahl, before we move on, you have a value, meticulous to the point of neuroticism. What I want to do is I want to lean on that. I want to give you a point of determination. If you'll accept the complication of you making that off-the-cuff remark and further pressing the issue on the captain that, hey, we need to cross our T's and dot our I's here, right? We need to make sure that, like, we help these people in as full and complete a fashion as we possibly can.
You know what? I'm going to go with that. And she's just going to start like rattling off specific protocols pertaining to Starfleet officers and their responsibilities to indigenous populations and members of the Federation, and basically try to get you tied up in this bureaucratic red tape.
I think for a moment, as Lieutenant Dahl's prattling on, O'Neill just kind of staring at her for a few minutes, it kind of almost a blank, glassy look in his eyes before he just kind of shakes his head. Lieutenant.
And she keeps going.
We are going into the mines. We are not leaving the monk there. Our first priority, we've identified an illness here. The doctor is going to be working on medicine to inoculate those afflicted. If we go in and we suffer the same afflictions, I want to make sure there's medicine already prepared for all of us.
I can understand your reluctance to act in haste, Captain, and that is, of course, both your prerogative and prudent.
So our complication here for our captain is that you are suddenly a little more irritated at Dal than you usually are. What that means is that if you're going to attempt to like command or persuade or, chastise or anything involving some kind of like social leverage on Dal in the future, the difficulty is going to be a little higher because you're going to feel a little bit, you're bristling at the idea
miffed.
You're a bit miffed, somewhat miffed.
Okay.
So we'll keep that in mind. So as you guys are talking about that, let's cut over. So Isha, Valanor, you have taken the energy dampener and you are heading up the dirt path. After about 5 minutes of sort of very light hiking, you make your way towards you can see a cave mouth in the distance. It's near a sort of a river, a small river that's sort of lazily flowing nearby. You can see along the cave mouth, there's some moss growing up the right-hand side of the cave mouth. And there's still some snow up here in patches about the area. There's a little less than down towards the colony proper, because you can see there are sort of tracks and disturbances from the mining equipment and foot traffic and so on. So that's accelerated the thawing just a little bit. Near the mouth of the cave, Isha, your nose sort of like gets a big whiff of that acrid citrus smell, and you see with your cat eyes that there is a few shrubs nearby that cave mouth, and they're dotted with those Laraxian berries. Oh, one more thing, by the way. Both Isha and Vlanor, you start to feel ever so slightly nauseated and a little dizzy.
Whispers twitch. Kind of makes that like cat like that kind of noise.
Hairball.
Yeah.
While maintaining like sort of a view of the entrance, and his security officer headed towards the bushes to pick berries, Lenore once again pulls out his communicator. Lenore to Dr. Rodchenko.
This is Dr. Rodchenko.
Doctor, how familiar are you with Vulcan physiology? Or Cation, for that matter?
I have extensive knowledge, yes, please.
I'm finding myself suffering from a tinge of nausea and dizziness. Is this a potential result of the infection the villagers are suffering from?
These are possible symptoms. Does your tongue feel like it is bigger than it was?
That.
Herc. I will say, Vlanor, like, apart from those two sensations, the slight nausea, the slight dizziness, I mean, you otherwise feel fine.
No, my tongue remains the same size. But I can request information from our Cation brethren if that is necessary.
His symptom would be his nose starting to, what is the term? Drool.
Lieutenant Commander, is your...
So you, Isha, you are having that sort of like reaction of almost like a hairball, but luckily your nose isn't dripping.
Okay.
It is kind of like slightly dry in that
Yeah.
sense, but yeah, you're not getting
I will be fine.
It does not appear so. Perhaps you could offer some
Good.
alternate explanation for the sensation we are experiencing.
You probably are getting very close to the center of the energy waves. They might have other unexpected effects on your metabolism. For now, if other symptoms such as your ears bleeding or your tongue swelling appears, please do the best that you can to retrieve the berries, as those are vital for the inoculation.
Yes, Doctor. May I ask a question?
Of course.
Did you say there is a center from which the energy is emitting?
I believe the captain has found the location of the, or the origin point of the psionic waves we are exposed to.
If you could convey to the captain that we are located near a cave entrance, and perhaps we could be rendezvousing at this location to enter the mine, I would appreciate your communication efforts.
He is hearing you right now and has received your message. Is there anything else I can help you with? I have a patient to return to.
No, unless the captain would like to issue some further orders.
You're muted. As is tradition.
Captain will look towards Dr. Rochenko. The device we have to create this inoculation, is it transportable out to that site?
The inoculation itself will be delivered medically, and the dampening field our lieutenant and lieutenant commander are attending to should help with these effects.
Yeah, you know, doctor, that once you get the drug, essentially the inoculation, the treatment, everything, that can be administered by a hypospray, and that's just a simple matter of clocking in the neck and handling it, right?
I think the question more was, the device that we're putting these berries into, that's
that
here in the
synthesizer.
building, can we bring that out to where the berries are, or is that stuck here in the building?
Sister, how big is your synthesizer? You mentioned it was a museum piece.
Yes, unfortunately, it's several generations behind what I'm sure you have on your ship and at other sort of Federation outposts. It's fairly sizable. I would say, and she's raising her hand and raising her hand and raising her hand. Okay, actually, I don't think I'm. You could get me like a step ladder or something. I could properly.
Thank you for the reference.
It's very sizable. It's very sizable.
Commander, the inoculation will be medically applied through hypospray, so there should not be any worries regarding that. The dampener will be of the lieutenant and lieutenant commander's purview. Yes, that is the word. Once you bring back the berries, I will be able to synthesize. Well, it might take a couple hours, yes, but it will be before we are.
Captain, you hear over the communicator as Doctor, you see that the sister leans towards your comm badge. It's like, sir, yeah, the synthesizer is very large and could possibly in transportation or movement of some kind. This thing's already running a very delicately at the moment. I'm afraid that transporting it or otherwise moving it could disturb some of the internal calibration, and that wouldn't be good for, well, anything that we do here at the colony.
Doctor, why is a civilian yelling at me through the comm?
I'm not, am I yelling? I'm not.
Please,
should I back away from the badge?
Yes, please. The communicator can you reach you from very far away.
Is this better?
No,
is this good?
Please, sister, that is quite all right. Thank you.
Sorry.
Commander, you're going to need to retrieve the berries and bring them back here before we can create the medicine.
Aye, sir. Would you like to leave the energy dampener and one of us here while the other one returns the berries so that we may maintain a monitoring station on the entrance that is closest to the colony?
If I may, Captain, the dampener would be more useful on the short term around the encampment to protect the inhabitants.
Why did we take it up here?
To protect you, the delicate ones.
Yeah.
The hardier crew members.
No, it's an emotional dampener, so you don't you don't feel quite so so delicate.
I think it would be best that the both of you return. I would prefer not to leave one of you by yourselves in an exposed position in case something does happen.
Aye, Captain.
Where there may or may not be ghosts.
Now, Tal, did you accompany Valanor and Isha up to the mine?
No.
Okay, then get the hell out of here. All right.
Oh, I thought we all just moved over there. I'm sorry.
So, Isha, you have got eyes and nose on this particular clutch of Laraxian berries. Do you go ahead and move forward to sort of harvest them?
He is hesitant at first to do so, but then he slowly reaches forward and does go for them, yes.
So you take a couple of steps forward as you cross over this. Again, it's a pleasant countryside, right? It's like sort of the forested Pacific Northwest. So you head up and you begin approaching the Loraxian berry bush. You reach out, you get that sense of like your fur beginning to stand on end, right? There's that kind of frisson in the air of something wrong. There's a little bit of tension there. And suddenly, shooting out of the earth nearby, almost like, I mean, think about Thriller, right? A hand shoots out and grabs you by the ankle, your right ankle. In that split second, how do you respond?
He would grab a dagger that he keeps on his like bandolier that he mentioned earlier, and just instinctively slice down at it.
So you slice, whoosh,
Yeah.
and you see that sure enough, like you get it across sort of like the knuckles and the very sort of tips of the very beginnings of the fingers there. You see that the skin splits open, but it doesn't bleed.
Oh.
And you can see that slowly, as is happening, hand becomes wrist, becomes forearm, becomes full arm. Commander Vlanor, you are suddenly aware of this because near you, suddenly hands sprouting from the ground, lifting up, and very quickly, the lot of you are menaced by 5 figures. You see 3 Romulan Ulan and 2 Borg tactical drones have risen from the earth, like clots of mud and snow and plant matter falling off of them. The Ulan are like, they have their disruptor pistols ready to aim at you. They have a sort of a blank expression of murder across their faces. Sure enough, the one that you sliced, Isha, you can see that their hand is split significantly open, and they didn't react in pain. They didn't move, right? They are just drawing weapons and are bearing down on you, ready to kill.
He would shout just an instinctual order to get the captain back, and dagger in one hand, draws a phaser in the other, is just ready for a fight.
So you're calling out to Vlanor, the commander, like, hey, get back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vlanor, get the captain back to safety. I will hold them here.
The captain's not here.
No.
Hold.
Again
Lieutenant.
with the catnip, Isha. You got to stop that.
He's not in his right mind right now. It's just I'm hopefully trying to play it. So.
He's on Worf mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's real quick, let's jump over to our personal combat zone.
Ooh.
Here we go. So let us plop Vlanor and Commander Isha here. This is just a little kind of helpful graphic so that we can get a sense of the zones here, right? So just a couple of feet away, we've got these 3 Romulan Ulan, these 2 Borg drones, and they are bearing down on you. Now, Isha, because you were able to sort of react quickly, I'm going to say that the PCs get this first opportunity here to go. So let's add all of you to the combat. And I think I have to stop the music because it's copyrighted. There we go. And which one of you, Isha or Vlanor, would like to go first?
What do you think, Brad?
Considering that Vlanor is like, hold, Isha, I would say that the Isha should get to go first.
Okay. Isha will attack with his phaser, shooting the closest one.
Okay, the closest one to you is one of those Romulans, the same one that you slashed across the hand.
Okay. How do I shooting? Daring?
That is going to be not daring.
You actually just click. I think you can just click the phaser.
No, that's the damage.
Ah, damn it.
The
Look at all that damage I just rolled.
The actual shooting still has to be a task, right? And that task is control and security, if I'm not mistaken.
Control and security?
Yep.
Oh, it's control for that? Oh, yikes.
Control and security to do a ranged attack. If you want to do a melee attack,
you know what?
That's daring.
I'm
and
going
security.
melee. He's going to go melee.
Okay,
He go
sounds
melee.
good.
He's actually not gonna draw his phaser. He's going claws and dagger. He's going old school. He's going old school kitty cat style. That's what he's going. All right, and
Oh,
I'm gonna form
okay.
a challenge or a task.
No, that's just a task, right?
Okay.
You're going to
And,
do daring and
could
security.
I buy 1 dice? We have 5.
Hmm?
And
That's
I do have
okay
a
with everybody
focus in
else?
hand to hand.
Yep, that applies here. Okay, so
Success.
it was 1 success, right? And melee attacks are opposed. So let's get our Romulan to make their same
I suppose
daring
you got 2 successes.
Two
and
successes.
security. Well, yeah. I mean, it's 1 over the difficulty, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That'll be important later as we compare. So daring and security. Let's make it happen. I'm going to spend some threat. I'm going to give this gentleman another dice.
You also have augmented ability daring, so you got 1 free success there.
That's right, Isha. You do have on daring that augmented ability. So yeah, you
do.
got 3
I have
successes.
3
technically.
successes. You're right. I do. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Yes.
I forgot I took that because I took it because I've seen Matthew take it so many times, and I was like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Isha, you successfully slash at this Romulan again, trying to finish the job. Right. So in that case, you're attacking with. I'm going to say that this is just for
Unarmed strike.
yeah, ease of use. Just do
Perfect.
unarmed strike,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll call it. We'll get you set up with a knife soon.
Not bad.
All right, very nice. 4 successes. Let's take a look at that Romulan. He was already 1 stress down because of the slash you got off earlier, and then that's another 4. So yeah. So where exactly are you aiming for, Isha? Like what are you slashing at? Head, face.
He's going straight for the jugular. He's
Ooh.
going for a kill shot. Like he doesn't mess around in fighting. Yeah.
So you make purchase,
if
right?
If I may. So he would
Please, yeah.
take his dagger to if they have a weapon, or even if they don't, but he would take his dagger to trying to take one of the arms, and then his claws just come up and he just tries to take the neck. It's almost bestial in the way he does.
So you are able to kind of swipe the disruptor pistol that the Romulan is holding out of the way. You're sort of moving his wrist, right? And the claw comes up, slices across the neck, the jaw up across the side, and sure enough, just as before, the skin splits open. It's gnarly looking, but there's no blood. But it's a pretty sizable wound.
He's gonna snort. What witchcraft is this? Devilry.
Okay. So now we've got our, let's see. Let's have one of the Borg go. That's always fun, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How about not? I don't want to make a new character.
How about, yeah.
All right.
So Borg is going to very slowly, in that Frankensteinian-esque way that they do, is going to move towards you, Vlanor, raise his sort of, mechanical greeble-coated forearm, and try to Hulk smash
Oh, good.
Vlanor. Okay, so let's go with daring and security. And this is opposed because it's melee, so we'll need 1 from you as well. Daring and security. I'm going to buy this gentleman a dice and see
Can
what
I
happens.
use my focus of Vulcan martial arts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh.
Let's see what happens. Nice. Very good. So those melee attacks are always difficulty 1. So technically the Borg got, let's see, 2 successes and 1 momentum, and you got plenty. So yeah, actually you get to damage him instead.
Can I use my Vulcan nerve pinch in this instance?
I think so. Yeah, let's see what happens. Very good. Okay. So with intense, right, if I'm not mistaken, that is ignoring resistance. Is that right?
I think intense increases the difficulty of avoiding a wound.
Oh, well, let's check in with our friend, the PDF that tells me all the information. So let's check in. Intense. Each effect increases the cost to avoid an injury by what? Yes. Okay. Very good. All right. Okay. Would you like to spend any momentum to increase the damage?
It's 1 per, right?
It's 1 per. That's right.
And I've only
You're
got
very close to an injury. You got
Yeah,
4.
I'm gonna go. I'll add one more moment. I'll use a momentum to make it 5, so that the
Okay, sounds good. So you reach out. You've got your Vulcan neck pinch on some exposed skin. Thank God this Borg still has some flesh, right? You grab, you tighten in, you do the Vulcan nerve pinch, and sure enough, the Borg drone, and it's almost slightly surprising to you as well. The
Mhm.
Borg drone drops like a rag doll, just like, and falls to the ground.
and that wouldn't be typical for an actual Borg, right?
No, would not be
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah. Lenore will state fairly calmly at this point, I do not believe that these are what they appear to be, Lieutenant. So perhaps you can reduce the ferocity of your attacks.
Then I will hold them here, Commander.
They can take our lives, but they can. Sorry. Vlanor, it is your turn now.
He's going to.
Nope,
Nope,
you're
you're
not
not-
Lenore.
you're not
I'm
Lenore.
He's going to do something.
Oh, you're
on
doing
his
it for
turn.
him. I see.
he's
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
do it
yeah.
for him.
Very good.
Yeah, considering that, in theory, I'm trying to be non-lethal. So yeah, he'll step forward and try and nerve pinch the other Borg.
Okay, give me a daring and security, just like before.
Again, with my focus of Vulcan martial arts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll a 2. Ah, damn. Damn.
Yes. He will destroy you and feel nothing. No. So you see that this Borg is able to sort of like rotate quickly and sees you attempting to Vulcan nerve pinch you, sort of like bashes your arm out of the way and then brings down his massive fist, striking you in sort of roughly the neck and shoulder area, dealing, let's see how much damage here. Okay. 3 successes. And you are knocked down, by the way. Yeah. It's a pretty sizable hit. You go prone. Wham. Okay. Sounds good. And I'm going to say, as this Borg strikes you, knocks you down, and is sort of like towering over you, and Isha, you are sort of like slashing ferociously at the Romulans who've got disruptor pistols and daggers out, trying to find purchase, trying to get into your sort of shield of claw that you're creating at the moment. We're gonna stop our session for tonight on that as the enemies are menacing you and sort of getting purchase close to you.
Good.
All right.
Get her.
Nice. That was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Got a little cliffhanger here.
I like that.
Yeah.
It was great.
I'm excited that I'm basically Worf. I'm gonna say it. That's,
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
But the question is, are you next generation Worf or DS9 Worf?
I'm gonna be efficient Worf maybe. I mean, I did get 2 hits, so maybe.
Or are you Picard season 3 Worf?
I don't know. Was he good?
No.
Actually, really
No.
No, because nothing about Picard was good.
no. Season 3 is very good.
It was absolute trash. I'm sorry.
Gonna die on that
Unwatchable
hill.
garbage.
Very opposed.
Still
yeah.
watch it though.
But thank you guys so much for joining me. We're going to continue on with the next part of our adventure here, our first adventure, Shadowboxing, next Sunday. In the meantime, thanks for joining me. Thanks for everybody who's watching. Hopefully you see this on YouTube later.
You will.
Live prosperous
Aggressive.
and longly.
Be aggressive.
Yes, be aggressive and long prosper you will to live.
Good night,
and-
everybody.
Good night,
The Borg is
everybody.
alive.